Payson, Arizona. I'm on a random trail in the middle of the forest, as you can see. But before I talk about currently, I have to back up a little bit to tell you how I got here. So I was working a seasonal job in Montana for the past 3 months, working on a ranch. Towards the last month, things went a little crazy. The person that hired me left and new management came in, and they just treated those of us that were there since the beginning of the season not so well at all. A lot of things happened. One of my good friends got fired, and to make a long story short, I didn't want to be there anymore. So about a week and 5 days before I decided I'm leaving, I went and I told my bosses that I was leaving out of respect. I had the urge to not tell them and just leave on the day that I was planning to leave, but once I allowed the emotions to flow through me and I talked to my parents, I decided it's respectful to tell them, give them an advanced notice. So I did that, and then 3 days later they fired me. They gave me 24 hours to pack up all of my stuff into my car and leave. I cried a lot that day for many reasons. Packing all of your stuff into a car, regardless of the circumstances, is so emotional. So that alone made that day really hard, and then adding on obviously the circumstances, which made it 10 times harder because I just got fired from a job and was feeling so betrayed and like it was not fair at all. And now I had to pivot and figure out what my plan was going to be, because I had a plan for the next week of what I was going to do once I left this place. There was a reason that I didn't leave earlier when I could have. Both of the other people that I started the season with were already gone, and I was not enjoying my time there, but I have a very difficult time with transitions, so I didn't want to rush the transition, which is why I went and I gave them a notice, and I started to mentally prepare to leave as opposed to just leaving when I felt the urge to leave. They didn't care how I handled transitions. They fired me. Anyway, that's not even the point. I am so over thinking about that and giving that energy, but I tell you that story because it led me here to this forest in Arizona. Because I got fired, I had an extra week of time before I told my parents that I would be back at their place, which moving back in with your parents post-grad, I could make a whole nother video on that because if you know, you know. I had an extra week, and yes, I could have just gone back to their place early, but I was feeling so burnt out, so not ready to be around anyone, not just my family. I really need to recharge by myself, and I was feeling so emotional and so heavy and so burnt out and so frustrated that I knew that just going and being with people right away, even though I'm excited to be with my family and they nourish me in different ways than being by myself does, I knew that I needed to be alone and I needed a reset and I needed to do something that would make me feel better before I got back to my parents. So I decided to buy a tent and go camping, camp my way from Montana to Arizona, take my time, find some beautiful places to camp at. I have only been camping once in my life, and that was with friends in high school for one night. I have never gone solo camping. I had no idea how to set up camp. I had no idea what even supplies I needed, but I decided, you know, you can wait until you feel more prepared to explore this thing that you've always wanted to explore, which is solo camping, or you can just go and figure it out, and worst comes to worst, you sleep in your car if you can't figure out how to set up camp. I decided, you know, just try it. Just go do the thing, and you're gonna learn so much, and you'll probably make mistakes, and I absolutely did. I would have done a lot of things differently if I could have anticipated certain things that were going to happen, but I couldn't have. So I just went and I figured it out. I was so freaking cold camping in Montana. I survived a thunderstorm the first night in my ultra lightweight tent. I was so nervous it was gonna flood, so I just laid there all night like this, praying, please don't flood my tent. I was fine, just really, really, really cold. And then I went to Idaho and stayed on a lake. Every single campsite that I've been to has been on a lake because I'm obsessed with water, and there's nothing I love more than jumping in lakes. So I found a lake in Montana to stay right by. I found a lake in Idaho at Sawtooth National Forest, which is probably one of my favorite places I've ever been in my entire life. I can't wait to go back and keep exploring that place because it was so beautiful. I got the best campsite at the whole entire campground. There were cows everywhere. In the middle of the night, I woke up thinking that there was a bear right outside my campsite. Literally did not breathe for 20 minutes straight. I was like shaking in my boots in my tent, trying not to move a single muscle, and then 20 minutes passed and I hear another noise and I realized that is a cow. That is a cow. And then I woke up to a bunch of cows outside my place and I was like, yeah. After Idaho, I stayed at a friend's place in Utah for a couple of nights, which is really, really fun. It's beautiful there too. to. I could see myself moving there one day. I really, really liked it there. And then I made my way first to Flagstaff. I was supposed to camp there, but the campgrounds were terrible. So I drove a little further. That day, I drove 10.5 hours and made it to this campground that I'm currently staying at in Payson, Arizona. And now it's my last day. I'm going back to my parents today, but feeling so grateful, so recharged, so much better than I was when I first started camping. There's been lots of tears, lots of writing and journaling and just releasing, which has been so good for me. Every single time I spend time in nature, I am reminded of how powerful nature is in all of our lives, but I think that I am particularly susceptible to the negative consequences that one might experience when they have a lack of accessibility to nature and to fresh air and to trees and green and sunshine. I can sometimes forget when I am, living in the city and inside all the time and looking at the sunshine from inside. I can forget how powerful it is to be in nature and how much I need it to feel happy. It's a necessity for me, and it is for a lot of people, which is why I'm very passionate about nature being accessible to all people. It should not be a privilege to be in nature. We should all have fresh air and sunlight and green and trees, but I'm not gonna divulge into that topic right now. This is all to say that the more I spend time in nature, the more I realize just how much I need it, and I'm very determined to build a life for myself that includes nature and also includes all the other things that I want to have in my life that maybe don't seem connected to nature at all, I want to be an actor, I want to pursue the arts, but I also want to pursue an outdoor lifestyle and a minimalistic lifestyle, a simple life. I think for a long time I thought that I had to choose, and now I'm just determined to have the best of all of the worlds, to include everything that I love in my life. I believe that it's possible, and I'm very determined to make a life for myself that I'm so obsessed with, and that includes all the things that I love. So this week has been a beautiful reminder of how important that is for me, and also every time that I'm in nature, she reminds me of the power and importance of stillness. I'm someone that really struggles to slow down, but then I go in nature and it's like presence just finds me, presence just comes to me. It feels so easy and so simple to just relax and breathe deeply, take time to be still, and every single time that I experience that as well, I realize just how important it is and just how much I need to be prioritizing that in my everyday life, even when I'm not in nature, just finding moments to take deep breaths and to breathe. But I'm so grateful for the trees and the sunshine and the wind for reminding me of this. It's crazy how much being alone in nature accelerates my healing journey. Those two things combined, powerful for me. I'm now just on a walk. I found a random trail in the woods. It's 8 a.m. I have 3 more hours until I have to check out of my campsite and drive back to my parents. It's about a 4-hour drive, so not too bad. I knew even in the midst of the struggle of getting fired and feeling so frustrated and watching my friend get fired and feeling so angry for her and having to say goodbye so quickly to people that I really enjoyed and got close with, I knew something's gonna come of this that I'm gonna be very grateful for, and I think that this camping trip was that, but I don't think it was just a coincidence. I think that that was a choice that I made to make that terrible week in my life into an incredible week where I prioritize myself and something that I'm very passionate about, which is being in nature. And so I'm very grateful to myself for making that decision. I am reminded that at any time in my life, I can choose happiness. I'm always talking about how frustrating it is that I feel like I have to try so much harder than the other people in my life to feel happy. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, why can't I just wake up and be happy? Instead, I have to do all of these things to be happy. But then I just spend a night under the trees looking at the stars and I'm like, oh, maybe it's not that difficult. Maybe it's actually more simple than I think. I'm just living a lifestyle that is not aligned with me and I'm not prioritizing the right things. Don't get me wrong. When you're depressed, I have been diagnosed with depression. You can't control it. There's a lot of factors out of your control. But this week has been a good reminder that there are very simple choices that I can make and aspects of life that I can prioritize to feel more in control of my happiness, because literally 10 out of 10 times if I jump in a lake at the top of a mountain, I will be in the best mood of my entire life, regardless of what happened that day or that week or that month. Sometimes really all it takes is some cold water, So this is all to say, grateful to myself, grateful to nature, grateful to the highs and the lows of the past 3 months. I don't regret going to Montana and working that seasonal job. It was so fun exploring Montana and meeting the people that I met. I hate the way that it ended, but that is life. There's lots out of our control, and every time that you think you can plan your life, something happens and then your plan does not go as planned. And so I just encourage y'all to ride the wave, and if you're in a situation that feels out of your control, take that power back and go do something that you love. Prioritize yourself, even if it's not an entire week. It can be small, but those small things can make a big impact if you are prioritizing them. So love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. I'm gonna go pack up my campsite now. Thank you, God, for this life. Thank you, God, for this earth. Thank you, God, for these trees. I pray that more people begin to prioritize taking care of our planet, of our national forests, national parks, of all the nature that is bringing us so much life that we don't even realize. I pray for a happy, happy, happy life and many more experiences like the experiences that I've had this past week. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for watching. I love you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Mwah.